So let's talk about confident body language. So my name is Elise and I coach women on how to present themselves with confidence. So if you are in a place right now where that is something you want to do, you are going to get so much out of the tips that I have coming for you. Okay, so let's talk about what confident body language actually is, because a lot of us don't realize that this is another language that we speak. This is something you are conveying without even realizing it. And I know right away when a woman is feeling insecure based on how she's carrying herself. So when we actually look at the true definition of body language, it's an alternative language that is a non-verbal type of communication. So I found traveling a lot. I used to fly over 100,000 miles a year doing a lot of international business. I had to rely on my body language to communicate for me because I was in countries where I didn't speak the language. So I got really good at presenting myself with confidence and always being in a place where I was aware of what was going on. I felt certain and I had that energy running through me. So let's first talk about what insecure body language looks like. And this is not to call you out, it's just to bring awareness to it. So if you do this, don't judge yourself. I've definitely done these things too, but use this as a tool to help you step into a more confident way of actually presenting yourself from a body language standpoint. Okay, so when I see women do this one thing right away, I know you are feeling insecure. And that is when you walk into a room and the first thing you do is you get on your phone. So for a lot of us, we get super uncomfortable and we're like, oh God, my phone is my comfort zone. So let me wait until my friend gets here to the restaurant and I'm going to be on my phone. But that's demonstrating something that is speaking volumes, right? And so I had an event that I went to and I saw someone do this and I went and grabbed her. I was like, hey, come over here. And she's like, oh my God, you just saved me, because she was feeling so uncomfortable in that moment. So when we go for the phone, we're typically looking for a source of comfort. So just know that, right? When we play with our hair, okay, that is definitely demonstrating some form of discomfort and insecurity. When we fidget, so maybe you pick your fingers, maybe you're in a place where you're constantly tapping your foot or bouncing your knee. When you cover certain parts of your body, so let's say you're having a day where maybe you feel a little fluffy in the midriff. So what you do is you cross your arms and actually roll forward and you're trying to cover that part of your body, or maybe it's your legs. Anytime we're trying to cover a part of ourselves, that is that insecure body language coming forward. When we are making indirect eye contact, so maybe someone's eye contact intimidates you, their presence is really powerful. Maybe it's something to where you just don't feel comfortable holding eye contact, so you look away or you look down. When we get into a place where we have a low hanging head, right? So our head goes forward, and then on top of it, you usually see the shoulders roll forward as well. So if you're presenting yourself like this, that's usually a sign of insecure body language. Also, when I see people are, let's say maybe you're in a space where you're getting a review or you're having a really uncomfortable conversation, when I see people cross their arms and legs, that's actually a way of communicating that you're rejecting whatever the person is saying to you. So just notice if you do that, because that can also come across as some, maybe not insecure, but it can also be looked at as you are not willing to take in what is coming at you. So by crossing, you're actually pushing it back at the other person. And I also see a lot of times when people are blinking a lot when they're doing this, right? Is that's another form of discomfort and insecurity manifesting. And when you're feeling insecure in your clothes, so you're constantly adjusting or you're, fidgeting that way, that can be a sign of insecurity because you're not feeling comfortable in what you're wearing. So I want to give you an example of this because I actually had an experience where all of these things happened in one experience when I was interviewing a candidate for a position. And at the end of the interview, I had witnessed all of this, nonverbal communication coming through. So I saw that she was feeling super insecure. She was feeling very uncomfortable in her own skin. And so I asked her a question at the end of the interview and I said, what is something that people have told you in terms of feedback that might be negative about you that I should know about? And she said, I've been told I'm really insecure. And so I stopped her and I said, I noticed that. And we talked through it because I didn't want her to walk away feeling like this was another notch of insecurity on her belt that she used as fuel to say, oh, I'm a failure. I'm never going to this is never going to happen for me. So we actually stopped and coached on that right in this moment. And this was before I was a coach. But I wanted her to actually feel empowered going into an interview where she could present herself with confidence. So these are the tips that I gave her. So if you're in a place now where you're listening to this list and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Here's what I want you to think about in terms of presenting yourself with confident body language. So the first thing is direct eye contact, but there's a caveat to this. Can't be too direct because then it can get super awkward. So I don't want you staring at anybody to where they're like, oh, I feel like she's attacking my soul. I want you just to present yourself to where you're directly communicating. You're having a real conversation with somebody. So you're looking into their eyes. Your chin is elevated, right? Not too high because then it can be snooty. So many fine lines and nuances to this, right? But you're just holding your head in a normal position. It's not down, it's It's not too high. It's just normal. We don't want to think of our head as heavy. We don't want to think of it as heavy in the back to where it's pulling us backwards. So just a normal posture. Shoulders back, right? So I like to think the second that your shoulders go back, something really beautiful happens. It creates an instant safety because your heart is open. So when you're sitting with a tall spine, shoulders back, your heart is now open. That's going to create a beautiful connection between who you're sitting across from and whoever it is that you're having a conversation with. So once again, tall spine. I love to see when a woman sits and it's not the hunch forward, right? She's actually sitting in a normal posture to where she's elevated. She's presenting herself with that confidence. Now, another area where I know a woman has confidence flowing through her is she's walking with purpose. So she doesn't look confused. She's not like, oh God, where am I going? She knows where she's going. She's a woman on a mission. This is something I always had bosses tell me. They're like, you walk with purpose. Like she knows where she's going. She's getting somewhere today. And that speaks volumes. And also, when you go in and start embodying all of these things. So I'm going to recap this, right? So we're going to have direct eye contact, our chin elevated, our shoulders back, heart open, tall spine, walking with purpose. Guess what's going to happen is you are going to walk into a room and you are going to have the most magnetic energy where people just look and like, what is she having? Right. So your confidence is going to speak volumes without you ever having to say a word. And I had an opportunity where I was presenting at a women's empowerment conference when I started my business. And I really got intentional about who I wanted to be when I walked into that room. And I thought about how I was going to embody all of these things. And I almost pictured someone following me with a Beyonce fan, right? It was like my hair was flowing, I was so tall, I was stomping in my heels. And everybody, when I walked into that room, was like, and it almost made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh God, why is everyone staring at me? But it was because my confidence in myself was so powerful. I was there to do a job. I was there to empower women. I was there to slay. And that spoke volumes before I ever hit the stage. I literally had a line of people waiting to talk to me because they were like, how are you conveying yourself this way? You're not even saying anything. But my presence was so powerful and so confident that it magnetized people towards me. So allow your confidence to speak volumes without you ever having to open your mouth. How beautiful is that? And I see so many of us, we're scared. We're like, oh God, that's going to be arrogant. Arrogance is rooted in insecurity. People will feel the difference between true confidence and arrogance. So don't ever subscribe to that lie. They will feel it because when it's a false confidence, it's going to come across as arrogant because that's when you see somebody come in and the loudest person in the room and they take up all the space because they need that attention. They need that validation. True confident women, they don't need to take up space like that. Their presence is so powerful. It takes up space on its own. So you don't ever have to worry about that. True confidence is not something that's ever going to be perceived as arrogance. So give yourself that grace. So a couple tips that I want to help you with, because I find with the women that I work with, they're doing things like presenting, right? They're getting on stage and doing presentations. They're making videos like what I'm doing with you. They're presenting to brands and companies. So they're in these positions where sometimes we can get a little scared, right? So that's normal, natural part of the human experience. You're putting yourself into big rooms. It's natural to feel a little bit scared. So I want to give you some tips to get ahead of this. So if you are somebody who goes into rooms and let's say you're getting on stage or you're doing a big presentation and the nerves take over and you start to shake or you get super fidgety, hold something, grab a pen, grab something that feels secure, right? Or if you're presenting with a microphone, hold the microphone. Because a lot of times once we ground ourselves by holding something, this can really help you to get your composure and regain your confidence in your body language. If you feel uncomfortable and you're the person who grabs your phone, here's what I want you to do instead. So let's say you're in a situation where you're at a restaurant, you're sitting by yourself and your brain wants to say, oh God, what is everyone thinking about me? I'm sitting by myself. And you start to go there. First of all, don't go there because nobody's thinking about you. But what I want you to do in that moment is engage your senses because what that's going to do is get you back into the present. So what am I looking at? Notice all the things that you're looking at. What do I hear right now? What do I touch? What am I feeling? What do I smell? So just engage your senses because that's really going to help you to ground yourself in the now and help you stay present versus getting you in your head because once you get into your head, you're dead. So stay out of there. So stay in the now. Just notice what's happening around you because that will help to calm your nervous system down, get you into a state of homeostasis where you can just be confidently present and secure in your own skin. I also love to do body scans. So if I'm in a situation where all of a sudden I start to notice that inner cringe happening or I start to get uncomfortable, okay, how's my posture? How's my shoulders? Okay, correct, right? And I'll actually do body scans to correct in the current moment. So if I notice I've kind of gotten insecure and I'm starting to hunch over and I'm starting to get fidgety, I'm like, oop, Okay, just bring myself back. And you can do this 100 times if you need to. You're a human. We start going into our comfort zone. And if you're insecure, right? Like for me, I was insecure for a long time. So I would always be like, oh God. And I'd want to just hide within my own skin. So I just bring myself back, right? Until that just became my natural way of being. So anybody can do this as a skill. Don't use this as something to judge yourself about. Just use this as a skill building opportunity. The next thing is in terms of tips, is to be present and aware. So keep yourself out of the past. Don't worry about, oh God, last time when I got into this situation, this, and this happened, or worried about the future of, oh God, what if I make a mistake? What if this? Oh God, no, I'm starting to sweat. And what if I get on stage and I have sweat marks, right? Stay out of the what ifs or answer them in real time. Okay, what will you do if you sweat? Right? Give yourself that gift of knowing, because when you allow yourself to just be present and aware, that is such a beautiful gift to give somebody, to be fully present with them. You're not thinking about what you have to do later. You're not thinking about what notification just hit your phone. You're not thinking about emails that you need to get to. This skill is an effortless confidence generator when you are able to just be present. And whoever is across from you is going to be like, wow, she is so secure in her own skin. Her confidence is radiant, right? So give yourself that gift of being present and aware. And if you do have the what ifs come in, which is a totally natural thing, just answer these ahead of time or as they come up in real time. Don't let the what ifs grow legs, because all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh God, what if I have food in my teeth right now? Oh God. And now you're going to be in your head, which when you're in your head, you're where? You're dead. So stay out of there, right? When you're in your head, you want to get ahead of this. So don't go into the pattern of overthinking. Just come back to the now, answer the what ifs in real time, and allow yourself to stay present in the current moment. So these are a few tips. If you need support in helping to learn how to present yourself with confidence, I would love to coach you through exactly that. So send me a message today and we can talk about what that would look like.